What if I told you that the moment intimacy becomes real, a woman may be thinking about something completely different from what you assume? She's not just feeling attraction, she's noticing your confidence, your energy, your attention. And somewhere in the back of her mind, one question can become incredibly important. Do I feel safe enough to completely let go? Because here's the part most people never talk about. The physical moment may last minutes, but the emotional reaction can stay with her long after it's over. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the 10 psychological shifts that can completely change how a woman experiences intimacy. Stay with me, because number 8 is where attraction can suddenly become emotional connection. And if you want more psychology like this, subscribe now, because the next part gets even more interesting. Part 1. Before anything happens, her mind is already there. Here's the first thing most men misunderstand. The experience doesn't necessarily begin when physical intimacy begins. Her brain may have already been processing everything that happened before that moment. The conversation, your confidence, your eye contact, the way you reacted when she said something vulnerable, the way you treated her when you had nothing to gain. All of those moments can become part of the emotional atmosphere. Think about it. If someone has been making you feel comfortable all evening, your mind enters intimacy from one emotional starting point. But if someone has been making you uncertain, pressured, or uncomfortable, the experience begins from a completely different place. That's why attraction isn't just about appearance, it's about the feeling surrounding the person. And this leads to something fascinating. A woman can be physically attracted to someone and still not feel ready to emotionally let her guard down. That's the difference between attraction and trust. Subscribe if you want relationship psychology explained without the usual cliches. Part 2. The first big shift. Can I trust him? This is where things get deeper. When someone becomes vulnerable with another person, the brain pays attention to signals of safety. Not necessarily consciously. She may not be sitting there thinking, let me analyze his psychological behavior. It can happen automatically. Is he paying attention? Is he rushing? Does he respect my reactions? Does he notice when I'm uncomfortable? Can I communicate without being judged? Those little signals can completely change the emotional atmosphere. And here's the surprising part. The most confident person in the room isn't necessarily the person who makes someone feel safest. Real confidence can look much quieter. It's being comfortable enough to listen. It's not panicking when something doesn't go exactly as expected. It's being secure enough to respect boundaries without taking them personally. That kind of confidence can feel incredibly reassuring. And reassurance can create something attraction alone cannot. Relaxation, because when the mind stops worrying, it has more room to experience the moment. If that changed the way you think about confidence, subscribe, because we're only getting started. Part 3. She may notice far more than you think. Here's where male and female experiences can sometimes be misunderstood. During an emotionally intense moment, people can become highly aware of small signals. Your facial expression, your voice, your attention, whether you're actually present, whether you're distracted, whether you're focused only on yourself. And she may notice these things without ever saying a word. That's why being physically close isn't automatically the same as being emotionally connected. Imagine talking to someone who keeps checking their phone. Technically, they're sitting right next to you, but emotionally, they're somewhere else. Intimacy can create the same contrast. You can be physically close while mentally disconnected, or you can create a feeling where both people are completely present. And that difference can be enormous, because one experience says, we're doing something. The other says, we're experiencing this together. And that second feeling is what can turn attraction into connection. Subscribe if you want the psychology behind what people often notice, but rarely say out loud.
Part 4. Attraction can turn into vulnerability. Now let's talk about something much deeper. Vulnerability. Being intimate with someone can make a person feel exposed in ways they don't always expect. Suddenly, there's less emotional distance, less room to hide behind jokes, less ability to pretend you don't care. And for some women, that can create a strange combination of emotions: excitement and vulnerability, desire and nervousness, confidence and uncertainty. Those feelings can exist at the same time. And this is exactly why emotional intelligence matters. If she feels judged, she may become more self-conscious. If she feels accepted, she may become more comfortable. There's a huge psychological difference between thinking, I hope he approves of me, and thinking, I can completely be myself around him. The second one is where deeper connection begins, and that's something no physical technique can manufacture. If you're enjoying this deeper side of female psychology, subscribe. You'll want to hear the next one. Part 5. Why feeling desired is different from feeling used. This is one of the biggest distinctions in intimacy. Almost everyone wants to feel attractive, but there's a difference between feeling desired and feeling objectified. Desired means you are attracted to me. Objectified can feel like you are only interested in what you can get from me. Those messages may look similar from the outside. Emotionally, they're worlds apart. That's why attention matters, eye contact matters, affection matters, the way you respond to her matters, because sometimes the strongest message isn't something you say, it's the feeling you communicate through your behavior. I'm here with you, not just here for you. That difference can completely change the emotional experience. And here's the twist. When someone feels genuinely desired rather than simply pursued, they may feel more emotionally secure, and emotional security can make attraction feel stronger. If that distinction made sense, subscribe for more psychology that goes beyond surface-level dating advice. Part 6. The moment her mind stops analyzing. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to relax when you're thinking too much? Am I doing this right? Does he like this? What does he think of me? Do I look okay? That internal dialogue can pull someone out of the moment, and this is why emotional comfort can be so important. When a person feels accepted, they may spend less mental energy monitoring themselves. They don't have to perform. They don't have to constantly wonder whether they're being judged. They can simply be present. And that is a powerful psychological shift. Because real connection often happens when two people stop trying to create a perfect experience and simply start experiencing each other. That's why patience can be more powerful than pressure, attention can be more powerful than performance, and understanding can be more powerful than trying to impress. If you want more videos that explain what happens beneath the surface of attraction, subscribe now. Part 7. Communication doesn't kill attraction. Now here's a myth worth destroying. Some people think asking questions ruins the mood. Actually, the right kind of communication can create trust. A simple, "Are you comfortable?" or "Is this okay?" can communicate something much bigger. Your experience matters to me. That's powerful, because intimacy should never feel like one person is performing while the other simply reacts. It should feel mutual. And when someone knows they can speak honestly without being judged, pressure decreases. When pressure decreases, comfort can increase. And when comfort increases, genuine connection has more space to develop. That's why emotional intelligence can be incredibly attractive. Not because it's some secret trick, but because it shows maturity. It tells the other person, "I care about what you're experiencing too." And honestly, that can be far more memorable than trying to look impressive. If you believe communication is underrated in relationships, subscribe, because the next point goes even deeper.
Part 8. When physical attraction becomes emotional connection. This is the turning point. There can be a moment when the experience stops feeling purely physical, and suddenly it feels personal. Maybe it's the eye contact. Maybe it's the feeling of trust. Maybe it's the history between two people. Maybe it's simply knowing, this person actually cares about me. That's when attraction can become emotionally meaningful. Because the brain doesn't store experiences only as physical events. It also connects experiences with emotions. If the emotional atmosphere is positive, the memory can become associated with closeness, affection, and trust. And that's why people sometimes remember how someone made them feel, long after they forget the details of what happened. The physical moment ends, but the emotional meaning can remain. And that may be one of the biggest secrets of attraction. People often become attached not just to what happened, but to how they felt while it happened. If you want more psychology that explains attraction from the inside out, subscribe right now. Part 9. What happens afterward can matter more than you think. Here's something people rarely discuss. The experience doesn't necessarily end when the intimate moment ends. What happens afterward can influence how the entire experience is remembered. Does he suddenly become distant? Does he immediately reach for his phone? Does he act completely different? Or does he remain warm, present, and connected? That difference can communicate something. Imagine feeling emotionally vulnerable with someone, and then suddenly feeling like the connection disappeared. That can create confusion. Now imagine the opposite. The person stays close, talks to you, makes you feel comfortable, doesn't suddenly turn cold. That can reinforce the feeling that what happened was meaningful. And this is why emotional consistency matters. If you want someone to trust you, don't create intimacy in one moment and emotional distance in the next. The strongest connections are built through consistency, before, during, and after. If you're learning something new from this video, subscribe, because the final point ties everything together. Part 10. The real secret most people miss. So here's the biggest takeaways. There is no universal formula for what every woman feels during intimacy. Every woman is different. Her personality is different. Her experiences are different. Her comfort level is different. Her relationship with you is different. But there is one principle that keeps coming back. How you make someone feel matters. Does she feel respected? Does she feel heard? Does she feel desired? Does she feel emotionally safe? Does she feel like she can communicate? Does she feel like you're actually present? Those questions can matter far more than trying to memorize some secret technique. Because intimacy isn't a performance, it's an interaction between two people. And the strongest attraction doesn't come from trying to control another person's emotions. It comes from creating an environment where both people can be honest, comfortable, and present. That's the real psychological shift. At first, she may be asking herself, can I trust him? Then, can I relax? Then, can I be myself? And eventually, do I feel connected to this person? That's the journey. And if you understand that journey, you stop looking for tricks and start understanding people. Final 60-second payoff. So let's go back to the question we started with. What does a woman feel when intimacy becomes real? There isn't one answer. She may feel excitement. She may feel nervousness. She may feel vulnerable. She may feel desired. She may feel emotionally connected. Or she may feel several of those emotions at exactly the same time. But the biggest factor isn't some magical technique. It's the emotional atmosphere created between two people. When she feels respected, she can communicate. When she feels safe, she can relax. When she feels desired, she can feel appreciated. And when she feels emotionally connected, the experience can become about much more than physical attraction. So if you take one thing from this video, remember this. Don't focus only on what a woman feels physically. Pay attention to what she feels emotionally. Because the body may experience the moment, but the mind is deciding what that moment means. And that meaning is what can stay with someone long after the moment is over. If you want more videos about the psychology of attraction, relationships, and the things people feel but rarely say, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And tell me in the comments, do you think emotional safety makes attraction stronger? I'll see you in the next video.